So today we're doing standard 8 .ee, which is equations and expressions, 8a and 8b. Okay, solving equations by substitution. Say Ava and Amy are sisters who make videos with cheerleading tips. Ava, the older sister, wants part of their next video to be 4 times as long as Amy's. The video will be a total of 16 minutes. X, we're going to say X represents Amy's part, and we're going to say that Y represents Ava's part. The system below represents this situation. Graph the system and estimate the solution. So you know both equations should be written in the form of slope-intercept, which is y equals mx plus b. So we're going to look at the first equation, y equals 4x. Y equals 4x has a y-intercept of 0. So that first equation, we're going to label this equation 1, because it's actually Ava is y. So my slope in this case is 4. Another way to write 4 as a fraction is 4 divided by 1, or negative 4 divided by negative 1. My y-intercept is 0, which is the order pair 0, 0, which is the origin. So I'm going to graph that by starting off at the origin, and I'm going to rise 4 and go to the right 1. Rise 4, 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 go to the right 1, and then draw your line. The next equation, which I'm going to label that red for equation 2, to put this in slope-intercept form, you have to subtract x from both sides. This cancels, and you're left with y equals negative x plus 16. Negative x is the same as negative 1x plus 16. So my slope is negative 1. I could write negative 1 is a negative 1 over a positive 1, or positive 1 over a negative 1. My y-intercept is 16, which is the order pair 0, 16. So I'm going to graph the y-intercept first. I'm going to go down 1 and to the right, and since our scale is counted by 2s, it's actually in the middle. So I'm going to go down 1 to the right 1, 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 down 1 to the right 1. And then you're going to draw your line. Okay, so if we look here, it says check your solution by plugging in x, y into both equations. Was your estimate correct? So if we actually look at the point of intersection, that's actually in between 3 and 4 and above 12, so it's about 13. So we're going to say this order pair is about 3.2 and 13. You could say 3.5, either way it go. We're just doing an estimate, okay? So our order pair here for our solution is 3.2, 13. Now I say check your solution by plugging x and y to both equations. If we solve, and we have 4x, so in place of x, I'm going to put 3 and 2/10. So then I multiply 4 times 3 and 2/10. I'm going to do that on the side. 3 and 2/10 times 4. You have 8, carry 1, 12, 13. That's about 13.8 for y. And remember, I'm using the equation y equals 4x. Okay. So when I substitute x into 3.2 and multiply times 4, my y is 13.8. For the second equation, if I add x, which was 3.2, and I add that to 13.8, I actually get, you have to line up your decimals. There's 0, put your decimal, carry your 1. So that's actually 17. And 17 does not equal 16. So it's really not a correct solution. Okay. So some of the disadvantages you have to solving in equations, the disadvantages is when you have two equations, when the two equations do not intersect at a whole number, on the coordinate grid, excuse me, the solution can be difficult to estimate. Okay. So another method to solve this is called the substitution method. So steps to solving the systems by substitution. The first step, you're going to solve one of the equations for y, if necessary. Because if the equation is already written in slope-intercept form, of course you don't have to do that. But if it's not, you want to make sure you solve at least for y. The second step is you're going to substitute the value for y in the second equation. Next, you're going to solve the equation to find the value of x. Then you're going to substitute the value for x in either of the original equations to find y. And then you're going to check your answers by graphing or plugging in the values. Okay? So we're going to use the substitution method to find the following. Be sure to check your work. For the first one, it says find the number of minutes each sister would cheer in the video from the situation above. How the graph in your estimation compared to the actual solution. Okay, so remember from the equation above, Amy represented y. Amy represented x, and Ava represented the value of y. Okay, so we're going to find the number of minutes from each video by taking their equation. So remember, Ava's equation was y equals 4x. So we have y equals 4x. And then the other equation was x plus y equals 16. So in place of y, then that's why I made it red. Since y equals 4x, we're going to substitute, as for step 1 says, we're going to substitute y in the second equation. We don't have to solve for y because we already have it y. Second step says substitute the value for y in the second equation. Okay, so we're going to substitute the value of y into this second equation. So it'll be x plus the value of y was 4x equals 16. And then we're going to solve for x. So it gives us 5x equals 16. We divide both sides by 5. X equals, and we want to divide 5 into 16. So we can find the value. That goes in 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract, you get 1. Add your decimal, bring it up. Bring down your 0. I didn't mean to do that. Want to bring your decimal up and bring down your 0. And 5 goes into 10 2 times. Subtract, you get no remainder. So our value of X is 3 2/10. So the number of minutes for Amy is 3.2. Now that we found the value of X, we want to substitute that into our first equation. So Y equals 4 times the value of X, in this case, is 3.2. And 4 times 3.2 gives you 12.8. But we can multiply it. Multiply 3.2 times 4. This gives me 8. 3 times 4 is 12. Bring down your decimal. Therefore, Y equals 12.8. So now we're going to check our solution. It says X plus Y equals 16. The value of X equals 3.2. The value of Y equals 12.8. We want to see if it equals 16, so we're going to line up our decimals. And you get 10, carry a 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6. Bring down your decimal. So 16 does equal 16. So it checks correct. So that's different from our original estimated solution. But it's actually more accurate to do substitution when you have to estimate it on your graph. Let's look at number 2. Number 2 says 5x plus y equals 34. Y equals 2x minus 1. So we're going to take this first equation and we're going to substitute the value for y. So in place of y, we're going to put 2x minus 1 equals 34. And we're going to solve for x. Combining like terms, they give us 7x minus 1 equals 34. We want to add 1 on both sides. 7x equals 35. Divide both sides by 7. X equals 5. Now we're going to take the second equation and we're going to substitute the value of x in place of 5. So in place of x, we're going to put 5. A number next to a variable means multiply, so you need to multiply those. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. So we're going to check it by substituting 9 into the second equation. So y equals 2 times 9. No, y equals 2 times 5. Because 5 is our x. 2 times 5 minus 1. So y equals 10 minus 1, which equals 9. So it checks correct because you get the solution 5, 9. Because the coordinate is xy, which is in turn our solution. Number 3. Y is already written in slope-intercept form. Y equals 6x minus 2. So we're going to substitute the value of y into the first equation. Okay? So we have negative x plus 3 times y. Y is 6x minus 2 equals 28. Because this number on the outside of parentheses, we're going to have to apply distributive property. says negative x plus 3 times 6x minus 3 times 2 equals 28. That's negative x plus 18x minus 6 equals 28. Combining like terms, you have 17x minus 6 equals 28. Add 6 to both sides. 17x equals 34. Divide both sides by 17. X equals 2. Now we're going to substitute the value of x into the second equation to find y. So we have y equals 6 times 2 minus 2. Y equals 12 minus 2. Y equals 10. So now I'm going to plug both of these values into the first equation to see if it's correct. Okay, so x was 2, so that's negative x. So that's negative 2 plus 3 times 10 equals 28. That gives us negative 2 plus 30 equals 28. So 28 equals 28. I know my solution is correct. And that solution, x is 2, y is 10.